Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name is James. This is Peyton, and we are with Fast Forward. Let's go ahead and just get started. So first off, you probably need to know what Fast Forward is. Fast Forward is a power line inspection company. They take one of these cars with which has a 360 camera on it with IR technology to basically go around and examine power lines to determine if there might be any outages within the recent amount of time or possibly in the future. And they just run across, and they need a way to find out how to get to each one of these poles and everything. But before we start, we should probably go over who we're working with and who is the beautiful faces behind everything we made. First off is our CEO, Dusty Burge. He is the founder of Fast Forward, a software developer, Lyndon, who has helped us out throughout the entire process to just build out things and how to work with it. And finally, our senior project manager, Brett Schrute, who has also helped us kind of in the same vein as Dusty. Moving on, we have some of our more faculty stakeholders. We have Melanie Kugler-Wright as our project manager. Our tribe lead, Jeff, over there, helped us out immensely. And finally, our coach, Steve Zinn, who was just an amazing man to work with and really just awesome. And finally, we have everyone who actually made everything. So we got myself, James Coddington, our development manager, Isaac Kenny, our web developer, Alex Herman, another developer, Peyton Webb, and then finally, our last developer, Ethan Gunderson.
Yeah, so the problem that Fast Forward tried to take on is that poles can be at hazard to catching on fire or potentially just be an outage or having outage. We wanted to have a way so that our sponsor can load a route of these poles, it can give them the most efficient way, and that he can build drivers to drive and inspect these poles. This gave us an opportunity to give him a way that he can go into a web app, do that, and then make an efficient route that all the pieces come together, and eventually these poles can be inspected whether they're good or not.
And then we just have a total overview of how our system works. There's a lot of moving parts behind it. Just to highlight the three main things that we use is our front-end website along this page. We have our mobile app, which is what our drivers use, and there's a collection of stuff over there explaining that. And finally, we have our back-end routing system on AWS, which contains a lot of things from our Amplify instance, which hosts our website, also our buckets, which contain all of the routes that we built off of it, and then finally the routing engine, which actually builds and makes all the routes that we've created. So this is just a overall collected view of what we made. It might be a little confusing, but if you came to us at our booth, we can talk a lot more in depth on everything we've done.
Yeah, so we actually inherited this app, and a lot of the framework for the web app was already built. But there's some key features that we actually implemented. Namely here, as you can notice on the screenshot on the left, the points at times could have you driving out of the way or points that are not actually reachable by the road. So we filtered out points that can be set by the sponsor. So in this case, I think it was about 37 meters away from a road. What is the optimal range for the camera to pick up? Alongside this, we also, the web app, we implemented a driver tab. That way we can assign routes to drivers, and we can keep track of that data in real time of what routes have been driven, how far they've gotten, what points they skipped, and overall the status of this current project.
And then talking a little bit more about our back-end system. This is where a lot of the bread and butter of what we made goes into. I wanted to showcase our old routing engine and our new one. The main difference between these two is that the previous year's team had a really good benchmark to build off of. However, it needed a lot more documentation and a lot more ability to be changed and add new additions to it. So that was one of the main reasons we switched to a new routing engine. And again, on this new routing engine, we were able to build a lot of stuff a lot more quickly and easier. So we created, off of this route specifically, we saw this problem occurring where, if you can see here, there is a large stretch of road that contains, that it wants you to drive across. And if we go back, there's no points along this side of the road. And so it's not really economical or really even feasible to drive along that. So we implemented a new system which uses a machine learning framework called k-means, which basically takes each of the sections and points them on the map and then basically builds out and across from it. And then it builds these routes. So you can see on the new routing engine, we no longer have that problem where we're seeing a large section of road being driven on. And it keeps everything a lot more contained and easier and more human drivable, is what we like to say, along a lot of these routes. And it just makes everything a lot more cleaner. And the new routing system made a lot of sense just to, in general, kind of build off of and continue working with in the future.
So the mobile app's where I spent a lot of my development. The main issue that we came across with the mobile app is that it did not have the capacities to meet the features that the sponsor wanted when it was originally developed. The main feature that we got here is that these points are now annotated. Each one of these is a pole. The green point is the pole that you're currently navigating towards. Along this process, we implemented in such a way where we keep track of the data in real time, sending it as you cross points to the back end. That way the front end can see the points and they can determine how far the driver is. They can bill the driver accurately, and overall the app actually runs just quicker. So the main value that we implemented is that it now has an efficient route that it optimizes, and it allows that Dusty can now bill his drivers and they can drive a route that's going to be efficient and useful for the future. We also have estimation for the routes itself. So now if there's so many points that are crossed, he can now accurately say this point was skipped, this one was actually drove. Overall, there's a lot of things we actually learned from this, and we made a full stack application from using a web app, using React, or to having our Android app, which overall we touched all of the technology.
Alrighty, thank you. I think we can also open the floor to a couple questions if we want. Or not. But again, thank you all for coming. And again, if you want to learn anything more in depth or just see the website in general, you come to our booth. I think we're one of the first booths in the door, and just learn a lot more. So thank you.
Yep, thank you.